Introduction. Imagine this. You were born a slave. Every step you take, every word you speak, even the air you breathe, none of it truly belongs to you. Your life, from the very beginning, is owned by someone else. Now tell me, in that circumstance, would you ever believe you could become a master of freedom? Not freedom of the body, but the freedom of the mind. This is the story of Epictetus, a man who was born a slave, yet whose mind, wisdom, and character would liberate not only himself, but would teach the world what it means to be truly free. I'm not telling you about a genius born into wealth and privilege. I'm telling you about a man forged in the fires of oppression, a child who knew the harshness of fate before he could even dream of escaping it, a boy who endured beatings, humiliation and pain to the point of disfigurement. Did you know, Epictetus was crippled, not by accident, but because his master twisted and broke his leg, simply for amusement. Yet within that hell of the body, he discovered the heaven of the mind. Tell me, have you ever felt trapped in your own life? Ever blamed the world, your family, your fate, for your struggles, your limitations, your suffering? If you have, then Epictetus has a message for you, a message he's been whispering through the centuries. We are not disturbed by what happens to us, but by the way we think about what happens. Even today, in this modern world of endless noise and distractions, those words strike like a blade, cutting through the chains of anxiety, anger and fear. And in this video I want to take you on a journey, not just to hear the story of Epictetus, but to walk with him, to see the world through his eyes, to understand how a slave could become a teacher of emperors and philosophers alike, teaching the ultimate lesson of inner freedom. But more than that, I want you to practice this wisdom, to experience it in your own life. Because when we practice, we don't just hear about freedom, we become free. Let us begin if you'd like. I'm ready to continue with part 2, the harsh beginnings, where philosophy was born in this same tone and depth. Would you like me to proceed? The harsh beginnings, where philosophy was born. Picture this: a young boy born into slavery in the Roman Empire, no name of his own, no rights, no future. He is the property of another man. That boy was Epictetus. We don't know much about his mother except that she too was a slave. His father, unknown. His birthplace, a small city in what is now Turkey. And from the moment he was born, life gave him one lesson: you are powerless. But here's the paradox: in the darkest places, light often finds a way to shine. Epictetus was sold to a wealthy Roman named Epictetus, a powerful figure in Nero's court, a man of cruelty, ambition, and influence. It was under his brutal ownership that Epictetus suffered the injury that left him crippled for life. Imagine that for a moment, to have your body broken for someone as amusement, to be permanently marked by pain you did not deserve. Most people would be filled with hatred, resentment, despair. But not Epictetus. He understood something deeper. It is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Instead of crumbling under cruelty, Epictetus turned inward. He discovered that though his master controlled his body, no one could control his mind. He sought knowledge. He studied under the great Stoic philosopher Musonius Rufus, absorbing the teachings of Xenophon and Chrysippus, the founding fathers of Stoicism. But Epictetus didn't just study Stoicism, he lived it. He realized that true power is not in wealth, status, or physical strength. It is in the ability to remain unshaken by external circumstances. There is only one way to happiness, and that is to cease worrying about things which are beyond the power of our will. You watch the chaos of Nero's Rome, the violence, the conspiracies, the executions, and yet he stood firm, because he had mastered the one kingdom that no tyrant could ever conquer, his own mind. Now, I want you to pause and reflect how many of us today are enslaved, not by masters but by opinions of others, by social expectations, by money, by fear, by past traumas. We carry invisible chains every single day. But Epictetus teaches us that freedom is not out there in the world. Freedom begins within. He once said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." And so his philosophy was born not in marble halls, but in the crucible of suffering. Let me ask you, what are the chains that bind you? Is it anger, regret, fear? What if I told you, like Epictetus, you could walk free if you chose to master your mind? In the next section we will explore the very core of Epictetus' philosophy, his teachings on control and choice. Where does our power begin and where does it end? That answer could change your life. The core of freedom, control, choice, and the discipline of the mind. Imagine standing in the middle of a storm. The winds howl, the rain lashes against your skin. The world around you trembles, chaotic and unpredictable. You have no power to stop the storm, but you do have a choice. You can either stand trembling, cursing the heavens, blaming the winds, or you can plant your feet, steady your breath, and control what is yours to control your response. This is the heart of Epictetus, teaching, a teaching forged not in theory, but in lived experience. He captured this wisdom in a simple yet profound framework, something that later became known as the dichotomy of control. Some things are up to us, and some things are not. Let that sink in. There are things in life that are entirely within your power. Your thoughts, your beliefs, your choices, your actions, and then there are things entirely outside your control. The weather, the opinions of others, the past, the future even, your own body's health to some extent. Epictetus taught that suffering arises when we confuse these two realms. When we try to control what isn't ours, we end up frustrated, bitter, and broken. Think about it. How many times have you wasted energy worrying about what others think of you? How often have you raged against misfortunes, bad luck, or betrayal? How often have you wished to undo the past, knowing full well you cannot? Yet, what if, instead of fighting the uncontrollable, you placed all your focus on what is eternally yours, your judgment, your values, your character? If you want to be free, then wish for nothing to happen except what does happen. That's not fatalism, it's radical acceptance. That's the art of aligning your will with reality, not as passive surrender, but as active mastery. I remember applying this lesson personally. There was a time I faced deep betrayal from someone I trusted. The anger, the pain, it consumed me. I wanted them to apologize. I wanted justice. I wanted the past to change. But then I remembered Epictetus. It's not the betrayal that hurts you, it's your judgment about it. That was a revelation. What was within my control? My reaction, my future choices, my inner peace. From that day, I trained myself every day to separate the externals from the internals, from the internals. It's not easy, but it's liberating. and Epictetus offers us a mental practice, a daily question to ask ourselves: is this within my control? Every time you feel stressed, angry, or anxious, pause and ask, is this truly in my hands? If it is, act with integrity. If it isn't, release it. Let it go like a stone dropped into a river. This is the discipline of the mind, a constant exercise, like sharpening a blade, to focus only on what we can command. Epictetus didn't just speak these words. He lived them when he was eventually freed from slavery. He chose a life of simplicity. He didn't chase wealth, pleasure, or status. He owned little, lived in a modest home, and taught philosophy to anyone who would listen, because he knew the richest man is the one who masters himself now. Let me ask you, what if you approached every challenge, every setback, with this question of control? How different would your life be if you stopped chasing after outcomes and instead cultivated your own virtue and strength? That is the path Epictetus offers us, not a path of external conquest, but of inner sovereignty. And in the next section, we will dive deeper into this idea, into the three disciplines of Stoicism that Epictetus championed: the discipline of desire, the discipline of action, and the discipline of assent. Three pillars that, when practiced, make the mind unbreakable and the soul truly free. Let's journey forward. The three disciplines of Stoicism. Building an unbreakable mind. Now that we've understood the core of Epictetus' philosophy, the mastery of control, we must go deeper, because knowing what is within your power is one thing, but training the mind to live by that knowledge, that's a lifelong endeavor. Epictetus laid out a system, three disciplines to fortify the mind, shape the soul, and build a life of true freedom. These are not abstract ideas. These are tools for living, weapons against chaos. Let me walk you through them, one by one. 1. The discipline of desire, what we want at its heart. This discipline teaches us to desire only what is in our control. Because think about it, most of our suffering comes from wanting things that lie beyond our reach. We crave wealth, recognition, admiration, comfort, yet none of these are fully ours to command. Epictetus warns, freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control. This isn't a call to asceticism or to abandon ambition. It is a call to redirect desire inward. Instead of craving external rewards, we should desire virtue, courage, wisdom, justice, temperance, all things fully within us. When you rewire your desires, you become immune to disappointment. If you desire to act justly, no one can stop you. If you desire to respond with patience, no one can rob you of that. This shift transforms suffering into strength, because no matter the storm outside, inside, you remain sovereign. Let me give you a practice here at the start of each day. Ask yourself, what do I want today, and is it fully in my power to achieve it? If the answer is no, adjust your aim. If yes, pursue it with full effort, unshaken by outcomes. 2. The discipline of action, how we behave. Desire guides the heart, but action shapes the world. Epictetus emphasized that philosophy must not remain in the mind. It must show up in how we live, how we treat others, how we fulfill our roles. We are not just isolated beings, we are social creatures, bound to others by duty, respect, and justice. Don't explain your philosophy, embody it. That was his challenge. To walk your talk, to live so that your actions reflect your principles. not just your words. Imagine this: in every situation, whether at work, with family, with strangers, you ask, what is the right thing to do here, regardless of reward or recognition. That is the Stoic warrior's path. It is less concerned with success as the world defines it, and more concerned with honor, character, and integrity. There's a practice here to every evening reflect. Did I act in accordance with my values today? Where did I falter? How can I correct it tomorrow? This is not guilt-tripping. It's self-improvement, like a craftsman sharpening his tools. 3. The discipline of ascent, how we judge appearances. The third discipline is the most subtle, but perhaps the most transformative. It is the training of the mind to examine every impression, every thought, before giving it your consent. Let me explain. Throughout the day, thoughts arise. You see a rude comment and anger flares up. You hear a rumor and fear creeps in. You experience failure and shame surfaces. But are these thoughts true? Are these judgments accurate? Most of the time they are not. They are reactions, not reasoned conclusions. Epictetus taught us to pause and question, is this impression true, or is it just my mind's hasty reaction? This is the discipline of ascent, saying yes only to thoughts that are aligned with reason and reality, and rejecting those driven by impulse, bias, or ego. Imagine the power of this habit. You become less reactive. You stop being a puppet pulled by emotions and start living as the director of your own mind. Here's a simple practice. Whenever you feel a surge of emotion, mentally say, wait, is this under my control? Is this a true judgment or just an impression? This tiny pause, this moment of inspection can save you from days of regret, rash words, or poor decisions. Together, the path to inner freedom. When you practice these 3 disciplines together, you desire only what is yours to command. You act with integrity, not for external applause. You ascend only to thoughts grounded in truth. You become unbreakable, not cold, not indifferent, but steady, composed, free. Epictetus wasn't promising a life without pain or loss. He was offering a mind that remains free no matter what the world brings. And in my own life, I've seen this practice change everything from handling criticism to navigating loss to finding peace in uncertainty. The 3 disciplines form an armor for the soul. Now, I ask you, which of these disciplines is your weakest desire? Action, ascent, identify it, and commit to sharpening it, starting today, because in the next section we will explore how Epictetus used these principles to teach others, from commoners to emperors, and how we, too, can apply these lessons in our chaotic modern lives. Epictetus, the teacher from slave to master of emperors, and how we apply his wisdom today. Imagine this: a man born into chains, his body broken, his life scarred by oppression, yet decades later, free men, wealthy men, even rulers, travel miles just to sit at his feet, to listen, to learn, to be guided. This was the power of Epictetus. After gaining his freedom, he could have vanished into obscurity, living quietly, avoiding the pain of the past. But no, he chose a higher calling to teach. He founded his school in Nicopolis, Greece, and it became a beacon for those hungry for strength of mind, not strength of arms. Rich merchants, senators, philosophers, and even future emperors came to him seeking clarity, discipline, and the secret to enduring life's hardships with grace. One of his most famous students was Arian, who transcribed Epictetus' teachings into what we now know as the Discourses and the Enchiridion, the little handbook of Stoicism. These works are not mere collections of quotes, they are survival manuals for the soul, the humble classroom in the marble halls of Athens. Epictetus taught in a modest room. No fancy robes, no grand stage. His teachings were direct, piercing, and often uncomfortable. He would challenge his students, confront their delusions, strip them of excuses. He would ask, tell me what troubles you. Money, status, a broken heart, death, and when you suffer, what exactly are you suffering from? Is it the event or your judgment about the event? Epictetus was relentless because he understood one truth. No one can free your mind but you. And isn't that still true today? We live in an age of information, connection, and luxury beyond anything Epictetus could imagine. Yet anxiety, depression, emptiness, they haunt us. We are freer than ever physically, but mentally, we remain captives of our own unchecked thoughts, poisoned by comparison, distracted by endless wants. So, how do we apply Epictetus' wisdom here and now? 1. Mastering our devices. Not being mastered by them in Epictetus' time. A tyrant was a person today. The tyrant sits in our pockets, buzzing, vibrating, feeding us distraction after distraction. Every scroll, every notification is an impression, demanding our assent. And if we are not vigilant, we become slaves not to a master of flesh and blood, but to algorithms and screens. Here's a practice inspired by Epictetus. Next time your phone pings, pause. Ask, is this worthy of my attention? Or is this just noise? Be the master, not the pawn. 2. Redefining success. Our modern world screams that success is wealth, fame, power. But Epictetus would laugh because he knew emperors who were miserable, kings who were slaves to their desires. Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. What if success was redefined as self-mastery? What if the measure of your day wasn't how much you achieved externally, but how composed, principled, and virtuous you remained internally? Imagine ending each day reflecting not on your bank account, but on your character account. Ask yourself, did I act justly? Did I control my impulses? Did I let emotions rule me, or did I rule them? This reflection is not weakness, it is the path of the inner warrior. 3. Preparing for adversity in advance. Epictetus taught his students to mentally rehearse hardships before they arrive. This practice, known as premeditatio malorum, is imagining loss, failure, sickness, even death, not to invite misery, but to build resilience today. We are told to avoid negativity, to stay positive. But Epictetus knew that a mind unprepared for loss is a fragile mind. You are a mortal and a small vessel in a stormy sea. If you prepare yourself for that, you will not be drowned when the waves hit. So each morning, quietly remind yourself, I may face setbacks today. I may be insulted. I may fall ill, I may lose someone dear, not to darken your spirit, but to strengthen it, because when the day delivers these blows, you'll say, ah yes, I trained for this. For practicing voluntary discomfort. Another method Epictetus advocated was voluntary discomfort, occasionally living simply, enduring hardship by choice. to remind yourself of your strength. For example, skip a meal, sleep on the floor, walk in uncomfortable weather. By doing so, you send a message to your body and mind. Comfort does not own me. I can endure. This practice builds a mind that does not panic when life withdraws its luxuries, because you've trained in scarcity. 5. Living according to nature. Lastly, Epictetus emphasized living according to nature, not in the sense of forests and rivers, but in understanding your nature as a rational being. You are not an animal driven by instinct. You are a human gifted with reason, capable of reflection, of choosing virtue over impulse. To live according to nature is to fulfill that potential to become not just a Homo sapiens, but a wise human being. Epictetus' legacy today. Epictetus' teachings didn't end with his death. They shaped emperors, most famously Marcus Aurelius, who read his words as daily counsel. And today, CEOs, athletes, military leaders, and thinkers still turn to Epictetus for guidance. Why? Because the world may have changed, but the human struggle remains the same. We all seek peace, we all seek strength, we all want to be free, but freedom is not handed to us, it is built, one disciplined thought, one conscious action at a time. And if a crippled slave could become a master of the mind, what excuse do we have? In the next and final section, we'll draw all of this together to understand the ultimate message of Epictetus, and how you can begin your own journey to inner freedom, starting today. Stay with me. The conclusion awaits. Conclusion. The path to true freedom begins within self. Here we are at the end of a journey that began in chains, and ended with the unlocking of the human soul. What does Epictetus ultimately teach us? That the greatest prison is not made of iron or stone, but of our own uncontrolled desires, our reckless judgments, our untamed emotions. And the only key to that prison is within us. He didn't promise an easy life. He didn't promise fortune, fame, or comfort. He promised something far greater, a mind that is its own master. Imagine walking through life not indifferent but unshaken, not cold but composed, not immune to pain, but impervious to despair. That is the strength Epictetus offers, a strength forged not by circumstance but by choice, discipline, and clarity of thought. Remember this: you are not disturbed by the world itself, but by the meaning you give to it. You are not owned by fortune or fate, but by the quality of your character. You may never control the winds that blow against you, but you can always control how you set your sails. That is freedom, and it begins here, now, with the next thought you choose to accept, the next action you choose to take, the next desire you choose to release. A Stoic invocation. If this message has stirred something within you, then I invite you to take the first small yet decisive step. Ask yourself, as Epictetus would, what is truly mine to govern, and what chains am I still holding on to? Reflect on it, write it down, contemplate it daily, and if you wish to walk further on this path to sharpen your mind, to fortify your soul, then I encourage you to stay with this channel, because here, together we explore not just philosophy, but the art of living. Not for applause, not for spectacle, but for the quiet strength that carries us through life's storms. If you find value here, subscribe. Join the circle, and most of all, practice. Because as Epictetus reminds us, don't explain your philosophy, embody it. Until next time, walk forward with courage, clarity, and the calm of a mind that is free. I'll see you on the path.